Hi, I'm Rob Britt, and welcome back to the podcast for the recently diagnosed. I said in the last podcast that I would be talking about my tasks that I'm doing for this clinical trial that I'm involved with. So I just wanted to go through that really quickly. What I do is I have a watch that I got from the study, conveniently called a study watch, and it gives me a series of 8 tasks to do. I'm going to go through them, not necessarily in the length of time I normally do, because some of them are like a minute long, and there's one of me walking, so it would be pretty boring to watch. But I do want to get kind of a general record of where I'm at for my own point of reference for later on, because this is an ongoing clinical trial for 18 months and I'm only 6 months into it. So the first task I have is putting my hands face up on my knees and counting backwards from 100. So I'm going to just go ahead and do that. And usually it's only 30 seconds. So I would just put my hands up and count off 100, 99, 98, 97, 96, 95, 94, 93, 92, 91. 90, 89, 88, 87, 86, 85, 84, 83, 82, 81, 80, etc. As you can see, laying my hand palm up, my left hand is really shaking pretty much. My right hand, not so much, as my left side of my body is the part that's most impacted by the Parkinson's. So, but if I lay them down, totally still, because I guess just for me anyway, having contact, like holding on to something, can really help to control or eliminate the tremor, which is something I think is common. I just watched a documentary called Still with Michael J. Fox last night, and he said during his acting he would find things to hold on to with his left hand that kept it relatively still to try to mask the symptoms of the Parkinson's disease. So the second thing is holding my hands out and again counting backwards from 100. So I'm going to face the camera. 100, 99, 98, 97, 96, 95, 94, 93, 92, 91, 90, 89, 88, 87, 86, 85, 84, 83, 82, 81, 80. So again, you can see my left hand shaking. My right hand is pretty steady at this point. So the next exercise is fist exercise. So I'm holding my hands up, and the first two had the counting backwards from 100. The rest of them do not. So this is just opening and closing my fists a bunch of times. And I think this is 20 seconds maybe, I don't know. So that goes on. I'm pretty good at this. It seems stupid to say. Yeah, I'm pretty good at opening and closing my hands, but hey, that's what they do. When I go into the doctor's office for my normal exam, they go through a lot of these. They also go through ones where you're just touching your finger and your thumb together, and ones where you're touching your nose and their finger with both hands like that. That's not part of my daily task though. The next part of my task is doing this, just turning my palms up and down. I guess it's checking my rotation. All these, I'm assuming, have something specific that the doctor's looking at, not just looking at shake, but also looking at range of motion and how easy I can turn. Whether, maybe when some people do it, they can only get like this far, I don't know. But anyway, I have pretty good range of motion on that. The next thing I go through is foot tap, which is just tapping. It's just one leg, holding my hands on my knees and tapping for, again, it's for like 30 seconds or something like that. The next task I have is walking. So I have to get up. First I have to sit and cross my hands like this and then stand up. So the point of doing the hands crossed is to see if I need to assist myself getting up. Do I need to grab a hold of the bench and like the arm of a chair or whatever to try to help myself get up? I really, at this point, don't have any issues with that. I go to the gym pretty regularly, and you can probably see my shirt is pretty sweaty. I just got done on the elliptical trainer. I do 30 minutes a day on the elliptical trainer, in addition to doing walking my dog, which ends up being about a mile a day or maybe a little more. So the next one, like I said, is getting up and walking. So, you know, arms crossed, standing up. I don't have really any issue. When I'm walking, they're looking at how much arm swing I have. If you see when I'm just simulating doing it, you can still see my left hand trembles pretty much when I walk. I know probably most people, they think about how they can hide their symptoms, mask their symptoms. So I know if I hold my hand in a fist, that's not going to do that. Later progression in the disease, maybe my whole arm would be shaking, my body would be shaking. So I don't know. So they would be looking at walking, how much arm swing I have, how my gait is, whether I have any buckling of knees or anything like that. At this point, I don't have any of that. So the last phase of this whole thing is just standing still with my arms crossed. And usually this is for a minute. And usually what I do is stare into a mirror. That way I can look at the watch and it shows like the time that's left. So I'm not just wondering, hey, is there 60 seconds left, 30 seconds, whatever. I can kind of keep an eye on this. And it's how well I can stay still. And again, like I said, if I have my hand kind of anchored on something, usually I can be pretty still. I found that if I have like my forearm resting against something, maybe it's because I'm pressing against nerves, because there's nerves that go down the inside of your arms, whatever. But if I press down on that, my hand gets to shaking pretty good. But if I'm not pressing on that, and I have like an anchor point here, I can hold real still. And at the end of each of these tasks, there is a function on the watch that has like six faces going from very happy to sad. It's kind of like the doctors use in the doctor's office at the pediatrician's office. I know there's a name for that scale or whatever, but most of mine are at the top end at this point. Some of them are at the second end, and it's all subjective, really, how well I think I'm doing. The other part of the clinical trial is going into the doctor's office, and I had said this is an 18-month clinical trial, and I think there's 18 visits. I'm not sure about that. The first visits are closer together, like every 2 weeks, and then it changes to like every 3 weeks, and then it's once a month. And this last visit I had, there is a 2-month gap in between. So it's not like 18 visits once a month, you know. And what I have to do is I go in, I have to give a urine sample and a blood sample, and then I take one of my pills. So I get these sleeves of pills, and I take a sleeve with me and open it up, and it's kind of weird looking, honestly. But you can see like how this works is, I'll hold it right side up. Maybe you can see this, I'm not sure. So the days of the week, Monday, and it's just 1 through 7 for the days of the week, and then there's extra pills in case you drop one and it rolls under your stove or something. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. But then I have to take, like when I go in, I don't take my pills that morning. I wait until I go in. They do a blood draw, and then I take the pills, and then they do a secondary blood draw, and then they do some physical testing, similar to the tests I've just done, but they might do a few more specific ones. Sometimes they might do like flicking fingers, or like I said, this touching, the nose touching thing or whatever. And like I said, once I take the medication, or maybe not the medication, I don't know, because that's the thing with this trial, is it's a double-blind study, so I don't know what I am taking exactly. I could be taking a placebo. There's placebo, a low-level medication, and a high-level medication. Of course, when I started the trial, I really hoped that I would be taking the high-level medication, but when I talked to the doctor most recently, he was like, for most of his patients, he kind of hopes for them that they aren't on the medication at all, that they're on the placebo, because part of the trial is checking for side effects. And if you're on the highest level, there's more possibility of side effects. Of course, there's more possibility of slowing the disease. So I was diagnosed last February, so it's going on 16 months or something since I received my initial diagnosis. I had symptoms prior to that, but you know, I was sort of in denial or just trying to figure out what else it could be besides, you know, Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or any other neurological disorder. And my progression has been pretty slow the whole time, really. I do tremble some, but it's not too bad. So that's it. If you have any questions about the clinical trial I'm in, feel free to post comments or whatever. I'm open about what I'm doing. Obviously, I'm putting all this stuff out there online so that people can know that, you know, it's kind of the inside story or whatever, and view my progression. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this.